Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Why, hello there.
We hope everybody is doing well out there in this crazy, crazy world, crazy
Indeed.
times indeed. So, a lot of times I'll see comments and they'll say, can you do any Qigong videos or any sort of videos on mantras, to let us know what you're talking about? And yeah, see, we have playlists. And so you can see down here, there's 38 videos in this playlist of Qigong, healing through energy work, Qigong, meditation, Reiki, and more, and understanding the basics of it. And then we also have the mantra one over here. There's 23 videos, mantras and higher consciousness. So check out the different playlists. There's a lot of info on these. And some of these you guys, many of you will watch on a regular basis. And there is the short Qigong program, about 20 minutes long in reality, and the long one, which is about an hour, and it takes a while to go through, but it's very, very powerful. And then there's different meditations in there as well. And again, these are simple tools that are very powerful. I've had so many people comment and say, holy cow, I felt this right away doing these meditations. And this one in particular is really good. And we're going to do a new version of it, basically geared towards the plague on the land. And it's a simple grounding and rooting meditation, and definitely can help us to purge ourselves in these times. And by the way, a lot of you guys have been checking out medicinal foods. All the feedback's been positive. When you use the link on any of the videos here, you will be supporting the channel. And there's a coupon code there. The coupon code EEA for an additional 5% off your order. Fill up your cart at checkout and get automatic discounts up to 25% off and free shipping. So check that out as well. So, there's only so much we can do to protect ourselves in this world. Let's use the analogy of secondhand smoke.
I think that's a good analogy too.
Thank you. I mean, it hit me like this would be good. So, we had a conversation with Laurel last night at like 2 a.m. ish from the Galactic Federation. And, Laurel has been with Cindy all of Cindy's life. She's actually, been assigned to help Cindy in her mission, which is to be as good a channeler as she could. Cindy is, in a way, you could view her as somebody that is almost like one of those translators for ambassadors to, like, say, the galactic version of the UN. That's what you are, is you're a big time translator. And there's very few people on this globe, as they had said, they can't replace you. You're irreplaceable as far as this goes. So they wanted me to do a video specifically about the plague upon the land, everything we're facing right now. But basically, it's the same concept as that grounding and rooting meditation. If you've ever been in a crowded bar or even an outdoor cafe and you have people smoking at the table right next to you, you can't help but to breathe it in. You can't help but to smell it, sense it, and get the effects of it. It's kind of like an impossibility. Well, right now, we're all walking through clouds of secondhand smoke, if you get what I'm saying.
Right. And it can be so bad. I've even smelt it out on the highway. And just from the cars, maybe 3 cars ahead of me or 3, it just somehow it gets in your sphere. It just makes its way in there.
Well, it makes its way in your aura.
Yeah.
And of course, there will be those people that don't understand what we're talking about and think that we're literally talking about secondhand smoke. What do dogs do in the summer when it's really hot? Well, they tend to, shed and leave their fur everywhere. Well, this is basically what we're talking about in an energetic manner. So even if you are not somebody that's had this particular substance yourself, but maybe your partner has. It's just like, sleeping next to a secondhand smoker that is smoking in the house. Now, many of us would opt for maybe a little less extreme or dramatic measures, as the gas mask on, the wife over there on the right hand side. But still, you do have to take measures to protect yourself against negative energies. And these negative energies, from what we have gathered talking to so many people, they can be absolutely overwhelming. Absolutely overwhelming. They are, without a doubt, affecting us on many different levels.
And it's a scary thought, and it's like, what do you do? What do you do? Because you have to be out there in this world. A lot of us are not ready to go at it, just at home on our own. We have to expose ourselves. And, the Galactics thought about that, I guess. And we have
Yes.
some news.
Well, and I mean, they've kind of been on me to keep pushing this to you guys. Now, recognize, as we go up in vibration, because we are going up in vibration, any sort of energetic work is going to be sped up. Everything is going to be sped up. There's less time between working in the etheric, which is working on that energetic field that is the closest to the physical field. It's going to take less time from the work to manifestation on the physical. Everything is going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. This is part of why we really have to guard our emotions and learn how to control our emotions and our responses so we don't react in a negative manner. As they have talked about, and Yeshua came through talking about working on people with a kind of Buddhist detachment, doesn't mean that you don't have the emotions. Like when you work on somebody, especially if you've worked on them many times, you know who they are, they become somebody that you really care about, then you have this kind of invested feeling that you want to help them to get better as soon as possible. And it could pull you in emotionally too. We have to be careful with our emotions in that a lot of times we can take on the ailments of others, the energies of others. And you might find that, your friend now all of a sudden is feeling better, but you have the exact same symptoms they had, or all of a sudden now you have aches and pains that you didn't have before. And this is really common with new energy workers. But as we go up in vibration, this is just becoming more and more common overall. The other thing that's going on right now is, even without a major CME incoming or anything like we've seen with some of the solar events that are starting to occur, and the solar cycle is ahead of schedule, there are still other energies which are not necessarily measurable, like some of the cosmic rays that have been coming into us in increasing numbers because of the decline of the magnetosphere and the magnetic pole reversal that's underway, as well as the grand solar minimum. There's other energies that are still coming in, and they're triggering latent abilities. That's a great thing, so there are new abilities coming online all the time. People are getting more intuitive, people are developing all these powers. Do you think it's just a coincidence that, like, our modern mythos today is so obsessed? It seems like all the movies that we see popping up all over the place are basically superheroes, X-Men type things, um, you know, the Marvel universe and DC comics, and then all the mythology that's being brought back. It seems like, so much talk of these beings like Thor and Odin and other ancient gods, the Greek gods and everything as well. Um, it's interesting. What do they all have in common? Well, superpowers. And where we're going, these quote unquote superpowers, if we look to the yogic tradition, we see that there's certain abilities that come with the practice of yoga. And I don't mean hatha yoga. I mean, Hatha yoga is a part of, say, Raja yoga, which is a more complete system. Raja is like a high form of yoga, royal yoga. Raj, is like kingship, royalty. Um, but Kriya yoga as well, Kundalini yoga. There's so many different forms of yoga that are about raising consciousness. One of the things that happens is these abilities like ESP and telepathy, maybe even psychokinesis or other things as well, are abilities that various yogis over the centuries and millennia have developed and people have witnessed. And there's Qigong masters that can light on fire bales of hay or bundles of paper just by intensifying their concentration and focusing on directing their qi, their life force. So, just to utilize this in a more basic sense, what we want to do is we want to develop the ability to cleanse ourselves of these negative energies that are hindering the growth of these abilities, which would be naturally occurring all across the planet, which would lead to a greater understanding of each other. Think back to the Tower of Babel, and the confusion of languages. Many have gotten that that's basically when we dropped from fifth density down through the densities, eventually all the way down to third density, where we no longer had all those abilities as a given. There are Chinese legends that say in the ancient days, mankind, man himself and woman, were like the gods. They had godlike abilities. They could even levitate and fly, but our wings got clipped. And now it's interesting too, because some of these Taoist legends say that there were blocks put in the chakras that inhibited the flow of the life force. And Sassy is really upset about that.
She is. She's very angry.
She said, say it's not so, they're not coming back. And she means not coming back as in the Anunnaki, Ijiji. Well, the Ijiji are still here, so to speak. But these legends, they have a bearing in truth because it's all about the awakening of the Kundalini. First, you have to have open chakras in order for your Kundalini to flow. And then once the Kundalini is flowing, opens the pineal gland. And that's what all this symbolism is all throughout the Vatican, all throughout, why the caduceus of Mercury is the symbol of the AMA. Well, it's referring again to Kundalini. That's the way we get our wings. When you see angels' wings, it's not literal wings. It's the Merkaba. They have active Merkabas. With an active Merkaba, you're not stuck in the 3 and 4D loop. You can go anywhere. So the Galactic Federation has put in the light workers, in the star seeds that have come here. By the way, about a third of what we have on the planet are people, beings incarnating that have incarnated before on other planets and in higher densities. These are starseeds light workers. About 2/3, 70% of the people here on the planet are what we would call sort of newer souls, younger souls, so to speak, that this is all they've known is this 3D, 4D loop and Earth as home. But there are a lot of us that have had incarnations on other places. So the Lightworker star seeds, because their agreement is to come in and help the rest in these times, lift themselves out of this darkness that's here. So they knew what they were doing. We knew what we were doing coming into this incarnation. And the lightworkers and star seeds basically have, on the higher densities, these implants, which are very much like portacasts, ports that are put in to the body. Now we're talking about energetically. And what's their purpose? Well, their purpose is to get rid of this. So we're being exposed to this secondhand, quote unquote, smoke, secondhand toxic energy, secondhand fumes from something that we have not decided that we were going to allow direct access into our being. But others have, and now we're walking through their exhale of smoke all the time. So what's going to happen is we just want to activate these ports to constantly filter out and ground and send down into the earth the negative energy that we are being exposed to. And we all know what's coming. We all know what's coming. And we could take it to the extreme in the sense that the powers that be are going to basically go and say they're protecting the smokers by creating this separation between those that smoke and those that don't smoke. And again, that's an analogy, you know. Mm-hmm. So, I hope you guys understand what we're talking about. I think we're being pretty plain. So, you want to activate these ports. And how do we do it? By grounding and rooting to the earth. Again, as above, so below. Sink your roots into the earth. That's first and foremost. If you can plant your feet on the floor, wonderful. If you could plant your feet on the earth, even better. Yong Quan, these points right here, they are the K1 point in acupuncture, acupressure. K stands for kidney. So this is the first kidney meridian point and the beginning of the kidney meridian in the body. It's also our chi point with the earth as far as what we should have for grounding and rooting contact to the earth. Now, in me, they're always buzzing. They never are not buzzing. 24/7, 365, mine are pulsating and buzzing constantly. And with time, that's just something you get used to. How about yourself? Do you feel them 24/7?
Always. I mean, it's to the point now where you get numb to it. So you have to if you focus on it again, then boom, it's right there. But kind of like that feeling you get when you get nose blind. If there's a certain smell in your house, you just stop smelling it. Well, I guess I get it all the time. As soon as I focus, boom, it's right back. So yeah.
So focusing on these points, visualizing roots coming out of those points, anchoring you to the ground, and just basically inhale and feel the expansion of the roots. As the roots go deep into the earth, they're going to go all the way through the various levels and strata of the earth, and they're going to connect to the crystalline core of the earth. And then we're just basically going to visualize ourselves inhaling in through the crown chakra a certain color. And first, let's visualize it as we could visualize it like we're in the middle of this lightning storm. And this energy, which is pure, intense, concentrated life force, so powerful. Inhale in and draw it. And you might actually feel a static electric charge around you. So the point at the top of the head is called the Bahui point. And that's right at the soft spot on the baby's skull. It's right at the crown and right where the crown chakra is. Inhale in this color. Every color is a different frequency. Colors vibrate at a certain frequency. So they have a certain energy wavelength that we can imbue ourselves with by the visualization of these colors. Do not underestimate the power of visualization. As kids, we had a tremendous ability to imagine, right? Play, imagine. We're always supposed to play. We're always supposed to be imagining. On the higher realms, this is what the gods do. And, again, the gods are not source. There's one source. And source cannot be named. Source is beyond the name. It's beyond having just one gender. All these are thoughts that have been misunderstood, unfortunately, in the control grid that we have. Obviously, source is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. It can't be limited to a gender. It can't be limited to anything that you could objectively name, because when you name something, you're kind of separating it, right? So George, that's George. Well, That's chill. They're not the same. They're not source. It's just that simple.
And there's just, you can go into that, getting really, really deep into what is source. But they have taught us growing up that, in the Bible, there's this one maker. There's only one maker, and this is it. And you have to do what they say. But that's not the reality of things. The reality of things is much different. It's more like nature that's all around us. It's more like being in harmony. It's more like having an understanding with the energies all around you, because that silent energy that's around you is constantly listening, always listening. That's kind of like the source.
And source is within you. It's within every single one of us. So again, that's why in the esoteric traditions, it's all about getting still. Be silent, right? And there you will find God with the big G, the truth source, which it has basically blown itself up, if we want to use a Big Bang analogy, into countless forms of life in order to explore itself and its creation. And so we are imbued with the essence of source within us. And when we use these frequencies, like what we see here with the lightning or the violet color, violet going into like a magenta, these are very high vibrational frequencies. So what we see out there is extremely low frequency. This is a frequency that's going to lock people into the lower astral realms, into lower 4D, where these beings that actually control the current structure of this matrix, that the ones that are actually, the puppet masters behind the scenes, they're pretty much stuck in the lower astral for the most part. They're not getting any higher. We're passing them. We're going beyond where they can go. And just alone, these colors are not super pleasant to them. So these colors will basically drive out anything lower frequency. And as you see the chakras here, visualize the colors descending through the chakras. This light right through the middle, this straight line, that's basically the equivalent of the Taiji pole, which goes all the way from head to toes and actually extends beyond both. It anchors us to the earth, but it also anchors us up towards source, and eventually it goes to source. So you're pulling down the cosmic light from above, and it's going to wash through all the chakras. It's going to wash through every cell in your physical body. It's also going to wash through the etheric body. The etheric body is the first layer closest to the physical body. There is the etheric template. So when two cells basically unite and start to create a new vehicle for the soul, a new body, or a new human, there already is the etheric template drawn up. What is it? It's the blueprints. So when you build a house, you build the house to the blueprints. The etheric template is the blueprints, and that is already set there. So the cellular mitosis that happens where the cells are dividing, that's just going ahead and filling in that etheric template. So when we draw down these energies, this is going to help lift us up into that divine template. Because originally, these vehicles were intended to be a much higher vibrational vehicle. And as we've alluded to, there's a reason why so many of these other hominid species, which, science has given us the impression that all they could do was, communicate like, and that's not the truth. The truth is their intuitive abilities would have blown us away. Their ability to perceive and communicate with each other non-verbally would have blown us away. They were actually physically stronger, and they had bigger brains when we're talking about Denisovans and Neanderthals, Cro-Magnon as well. And so, not necessarily inferior. And again, Darwinian evolution may be full of flaws, but things do evolve. Evolution is part of the plan of the multiverse. It's part of Source's plan. This will be a way to basically cleanse ourselves of that negative energy that's been intentionally put out there to keep us from the ascension, because that's the ultimate goal, is stopping ascension, as we've been saying for 4 years, but also trapping in the exact same frequency band that these entities that have controlled this reality for thousands of years now, the same band, that small, narrow band that they are in. So they want to keep us by their sides. They want to keep us on a leash. If you look again to the Anunnaki legends, they say that they created the human body to be a vehicle for a slave race. So, obviously, this version has had, kind of view it like dumbed down abilities. Again, it's kind of like you could equate it to a car that now you're putting all the California emissions on for those mechanics out there, as opposed to, tweaking it to be a race car.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like that. And, they're trying to keep us in this lower frequency. So see this energy penetrate every layer of the energy body, and we can't even perceive all the layers. Many of you can perceive, several layers. I would say I've been able to distinctly see about 3, maybe 4 at times, different layers, different colors. But some of the more gifted psychics have seen 13, 14 different layers to the energy body. So it's going to penetrate the energy body as well as the physical body. See it wash everything negative, just like that smoky substance, down into the earth, leaving you cleansed. This is very, very important. And this is going to trigger those ports that we were talking about that are in the energy body. And the ports will pump away the horrible, nasty smoke or energies that's coming off of so many people that we just can't help being in contact with. Every time we go shopping now, you're going to be in contact with these energies. Every time you're out in public, you're going to be in contact with these energies. Even like Cindy said, they might be coming off your neighbor's house because maybe your neighbor is maybe all of them are quote unquote smokers now, if you know what I mean by this. So the violet flame, the violet color is key. You can also go farther and envision the entire earth drawing down source love light into the atmosphere of the earth. And let's see the entire earth shedding this dark energy. Let's see the dark power structure that's on the earth getting so uncomfortable with the rising vibrations on the earth that they can't stand to be here anymore. And maybe they will take their ships and leave with Mr. Musk and go set back up camp on Mars for a while until we purge Mars too.
At some point they will.
Yes, they will. So visualize the entire earth and covered in this violet light. We have so much help coming from the other side. Now, you might not understand this, but we're having a very important experience. And the experience gain is something that stays with the soul from lifetime to lifetime. So the higher realms, they won't directly interfere. They can interfere in some things sometimes, but on the whole, again, they have to be asked. Ask and you shall receive. So one of the things that I will do when I go to work on people, typically at the beginning of the day, I would address all my spirit guides that I know by name, and then I would also put in their spirit guides named and unnamed, known and unknown, because a lot of times we're not even aware of all the guides we have. And if you're doing a lot of work for other people, you'll be picking them up constantly. It'll get bigger and bigger. Before you know it, you'll have a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen, maybe 100 working with you. And maybe, you'll never know all their names and who they exactly are. And then I add in also the ancestors and then the archangels, that I know of again, and then the ascended masters, the devas, as well by name. So, I invoke all of their energies to help us. in our work when we work on people all day long. And these are all benevolent beings. Benevolent beings don't just come from one tradition. And, the very thought that all the benevolent beings would only come from one tradition is so completely short sighted. It, it kind of boggles the mind, really, in some ways, when we have a bigger understanding of how things truly are.
Hmm. Right. And a lot of times our guides, angels, they may want to step back and not let you know so you can have your own human experience. But believe me, trust me, they're there.
They are there and they're watching. And it's not just the angelic realms that are watching right now. There's tons of ETs up there. Some in physical ships, others basically utilizing Merkabas, light bodies, to watch the action. This is a huge, huge time. This is a big, big show. And a lot hinges on this. More hinges on this than I've given to you guys because I'm still trying to understand some of it myself. As above, so below is such a, well, it's a hermetic saying, and a good place to start is the Kybalion. There's so many other esoteric treaties that you can get into and study to try to understand, how this universe truly works. And when we're talking about esoteric, I mean, these are all truths that had to be hidden in the West because your life was in danger. That simple. If you started to talk outside of the belief structure of the established church, drawn and quartered, boiled in oil, you choose your preference, burned at the stake. You could be accused of being a heretic, a witch. It goes on and on and on. Sadly, but this is part of the control system that we've had. So the earth itself is alive, and the divine feminine, as we've been talking about, has been so cut out from our lives. That's what we need to embrace and restore the balance, because it's all about balance in this universe. Balance has been lost, and now it's time to regain our balance.
Mm, it's so important to regain balance. I mean, that's what makes your world go round is your balance. Balance is key to everything. So you want to take a good look at your life and see is there anything excessive, anything lacking, and take a good look at that and see if you can pull that into balance nice and gently because then things run smoother, then you're a little more coherent with your surroundings.
Most definitely. So again, what I would recommend doing is doing this on a daily basis, even twice a day. Just taking even 5 minutes twice a day to, again, ground and root yourself just like a tree. You could do it standing, you could do it sitting with your feet flat, as they would say Egyptian style, which is on a chair, feet flat, back straight. Sink your roots through these points into the ground. Feel yourself. Each inhale, drawing down energy from above. Again, use basically a violet towards magenta light. Just see it go head to toe all the way through all the chakras, penetrating every single cell in the body, washing away anything that is dark and smoky, anything negative, anything lower vibrational out of those roots, down into the roots, out of the roots, into the earth. The earth will transmute it into beneficial healing energy again. And so the earth will recycle this negative energy because she is ascending with or without us.
Mhm.
And as we've shared, many people will find themselves eventually on a 5D version of Earth. Many people will find themselves incarnating into another reality, very similar 3D, 4D experience, if we allow ourselves to be captivated and taken by this dark energy, then many will find themselves waking up in the next life in a situation very similar to this life, and that's not desirable, guys.
Mm-mm. No, no, it's not.
No. So again, very important. even 5 minutes in the morning and at night before bed. Do check out these playlists as well. The Simple Grounding and Rooting is a really, really good one. I would really recommend people practice the Qigong as well. There are many other wonderful videos, other people out there that teach Qigong. Pore breathing, this is an incredible practice that helped me to restore my discs after I ruptured L4 and L5. The middle pillar exercise will energize and cleanse. This is another one you could basically just take it and just visualize that what you're doing when you're drawing down the light from above is you are getting rid of this secondhand SHEDDING energy that is all around us. So as always, guys, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon, as well as medicinal foods. God bless. Namaste.
Namaste.